Lori decided we should have. I made some cottage cheese without the cream in it. Let it set for a couple of days till it's separated, and then filtered out the whey and put it in the refrigerator for about a week to get a little bit more sour. And then I took fresh cream and blended it into a whipped cream with oregano, and then took butter and blended that with garlic after I melted it, and then whipped them by hand together.
We brought some vintage sour cream, aged over 4 weeks in the refrigerator. We also brought raw chèvre, lemons, and also garlic herb chèvre. It's Rocco cheese.
I brought something I called unstewed tomatoes. It was chopped tomatoes with raw cheese and olive oil and garlic and basil. And if you want to add any other herbs, go ahead. And I brought some pesto, which is mostly basil blended with olive oil, garlic, some cheese, and you can put nuts in there too, like pine nuts or almonds without the skin. Anything else, I guess?
I just brought some ground beef.
I brought my appetite. And the most delicious, beautiful creature I know, my daughter, Melissa.
I paid him to say that.
I made goat cheese, and what I do is I take a little bit of an unsalted chèvre, whatever it's called, cheese starter and a gallon of goat's milk, and mix it up. And then I took a little bit of two pieces of garlic, blended it with some of the goat's milk, poured it in to make a garlic goat cheese, and it just sits for a few hours, and the cheese floats to the top. And then strain it through cheesecloth, and the longer you strain it, the harder the cheese gets. So I like the cheese more like a cottage cheese, so you just let it drain for a couple hours, and that's it.
I brought steak and tomatoes.
We brought ground turkey with cilantro, parsley, and honey, butter in it, and some horseradish.
I brought pate and salmon. The salmon is wild caught, soaked in fresh squeezed organic lemon juice. The pate is New Zealand beef, a little bit of ribeye, a little bit of sirloin, and it's just put in the food processor with butter. And I recently just got some raw blood from Nebraska beef, so I added that. Some little tiny bit of onion, a tiny bit of Gouda cheese, which is raw, but it does have salt, unfortunately, for a few people. And I know I'm forgetting, and sour cream, all mixed together at the Hollywood Market. It was a very little bit. It was like not even an eighth of a cup, and it was aged. And I added that in. It was a very big bowl of pate at the farmer markets. Yeah, but they do have some.
And I brought salmon sashimi with lemon. How did I cut it?
Hi, I brought chicken that was raw, and it was rosy chicken. That was boneless breast chicken cut up and then soaked in lime juice overnight. And then I added honey to it and coconut cream. It's yummy, and it's really great. So, also, if any women are interested in a workout that goes along with this very well, come and talk to me afterwards. Thanks.
I forgot in the pesto sauce, I put a little bit of lemon juice and a tiny bit of honey to preserve it, and in the
beef. And there's on the list in there if you want to look at it and taste it. Okay, did we miss anybody? Anybody not say what you brought, what you made, how you made it? All right. Who made the custom? Okay.
All right, Randy, I'm ready when you are. You ready? Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you to the Primal Potluck for coming. A lot of people have asked me over the last year about high meat. I've discussed it several times, the benefits of the high meat. It helps to get rid of depression and stuff like that. One of the main questions that people ask me is there a limit? Can we eat too much? Now that's a bizarre question to ask when you're eating something as stinky and foul as that. But it is something that I decided to explore because usually I'll tell people to eat maybe a large normal-sized amount more than twice a week because that's all it takes to get rid of depression most of the time. Last Friday I ate 8 ounces weight-wise of high fish. And what it did to me, it gave me a nasty sore throat and started detoxifying my bronchioles, which are about 90% scar tissue, my brain, which is about 70% scar tissue. So I would say that the small amounts of high meat are wonderful remedies to eliminate depression, but any higher than that, you'll be taking a chance on beginning a detox. But that's not a bad thing. I don't mind initiating it, but I went through so much detox last year, I thought I was going to take a break. So you can instigate a detoxification if you want by doing that, I have found. Doesn't mean that it will happen to you, but it happened to me, and it might happen to you. Okay, let's begin the questions. I'll start here. This young lady right here. Do you have a question?
What about maple syrup?
Maple syrup, as I said in my book, it's cooked, it's heated, very high temperatures,
Very high.
very high.
What about brown spots on raw meat?
Brown spots on raw meat, like freckles, or what do you mean?
Like, does it have to be really red and super fresh, or is that okay if it has some kind of a more brown spots?
Okay, well, let me look at it, put it this way. The brown spots are usually because the meat is cold. When I go into a restaurant and order raw steak on a cold plate, cold steak on a cold plate, they will usually bring it to me right out of the refrigerator. So it's brown. Looks like they've singed it, so it's not a problem with the company you're keeping, so you won't embarrass them. But as you sit there, the longer it sits, it will turn bright red again as it warms up. So brown spots are not a problem. It just usually means a sign of coldness.
It just seems like the a few days older meat looks brown.
In the refrigerator or outside the refrigerator.
Both.
If you're taking it out and it's reached room temperature and it's brown, it may be oxidizing a little bit.
Is that okay?
That's fine. It just means your bacteria is starting to break it down. The bacteria in the meat, not your bacteria, but the bacteria, unless you expectorate it or something, then it will be yours. Did Lenny want to ask a question while it's over there? Okay. All right, Kathy.
I want to know, do I still need to put in the vinegar, milk, and salt when I get the clay from the Glen Ivy Hot Springs?
You mean in the bath?
Right. Or you just,
I always recommend there are about 192 chemicals in Los Angeles water.
I mean, because of the clay. Is it,
But the clay will absorb a certain amount of it. I still recommend putting 1 to 2 cups. I usually use 3 cups of skim milk in the bath. If I were in LA, I wouldn't skim it. I have my own well, so I don't worry about that. I just like the comfort of the relaxation I do is I'll take the milk and I'll place it in the bath so it slowly warms up, and then I'll open it once it's reached the bath temperature and then dump it, and you'll probably get less curdling. But that usually means that you've cooked the protein. So the bath is too hot when you put the milk in.
You have to put the bottle, you said, in the milk and the water.
Okay, you've got the bottle of Clarabelle milk.
Yeah.
Okay, and you immerse that in the water. Should take a little bit out because it will expand and the top will pop off while it's in the bath. So you take a little out, maybe 4 ounces. You immerse the bottle of milk in the water. You let it sit for 10, 15 minutes till the milk becomes the same temperature as the water. And then it won't cook that way. But if you pour it right into a hot bath, you will cook the proteins and it will curdle.
That's bad.
Well, it's certainly not going to do you any benefit because it's not going to attach to your skin. It's not going to be absorbed nor pull anything out.
You put it in the jelly jar, the milk, I can put it in the jelly jar.
You could do that too. As long as you open it after it's reached the bath temperature, then that's fine. So I use all those things. I'll use a little sea salt. I'll use a little milk and a little clay in the bath. And that way you have all those nutrients in there. You can relax and go to sleep in it for 6 hours at a time. Especially if you're going through a heavy detox and in pain and you can't sleep. Like when I was going through spinal meningitis several times, I was unable to sleep at any time more than probably 20 minutes with a great deal of pain. So I would get into a bath and after I put that solution in it, and I would fall asleep for sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. Then I'd awaken freezing to death, and then I rewarm the water, and then go back to sleep again for another hour and a half to 2 hours, and then wake up again and warm the bath again. Keep doing that. Well, Epsom salts and baking soda are treated and processed. The baking soda usually has aluminum, and that's not good if it's absorbed in it. And aluminum is pretty easily absorbed into the skin, which is, increases your likelihood of getting Alzheimer's, palsy, anything like that. So you want to stay away from, especially the baking soda. Now there are health food stores that put out a different kind of baking soda, which is alum-free. I still think that's a mineral imbalance. If you use milk, you've got a perfect mineral balance that will relax the body without toxicity. The other two will probably create toxicity. Yes, I use the same milk, the Clarabelle milk. It's an expensive bath, but I'm worth it. I think. How much salt? You're talking about the same. How much salt in that bath? I use 2 tablespoons level. That depends. I'll take about a golf ball size amount and rub it in the water so it distributes around. Otherwise, it will fragment on the clay. Yes. Yeah. It can be any clay. No, if you do that, then you can just. It's always best to take your clay and to moisten it. Let it be moist for at least 4 or 5 days. I'm just letting the plane go by here. Some ambiance, not happy ambiance. Or maybe it's happy. If I were in the plane going to rice, and that means it's very concentrated in carbohydrates. It's also processed to an extent. It's not a natural process like we do with the raw apple cider vinegar. So it can create a very acidic condition in the liver and stomach and blood, and creates irritability, rashes, all kinds of things. Unless you're someone who is of a diabetic or hypoglycemic nature, whose blood usually is too alkaline, and then it probably wouldn't be as irritating.
What did you mean by high fish and meat?
High fish and meat is when you look at the fish and the meat, say hi. No, what I do is I'll take for instance, I'll take 3 types of meats at a time. I'll take chicken or turkey, 1 fowl, 1 fish, and 1 beef, and I'll take 8 ounces of each and chop it, not finely, but to chunks, little chunks, and I put it in so I'll take 8 ounces. I'll put it in a pint jar, a canning jar with a sealable lid, and then I put each of the meats in a different pint jar. Every 3 to 4 days, I will take them outside, open them, wave them in a figure 8, get new air in it so the aerobic bacteria can keep going, and then I cap it and put it in the refrigerator, and I can get the high meat to get full of bacteria. No, yes, 3 or 4 more days. You have to do it every 3 to 4 days, because it takes about 3.5 days to 4 days to use up all of the oxygen. To grow the aerobic bacteria. Once the air is gone, the oxygen is gone, the aerobic bacteria stops right at that point. If I take raw meat and I put it in a jar and don't reopen it, it will last. I've had it last as long as a year, and it smells just like when I brought it home from the store. If it's in a glass jar,
With nothing added, just raw meat.
nothing added, just raw meat. Yes. But once you keep opening it, that's when you allow the air in and the bacteria to grow. I've always said that. I've always said wave in the figure 8. Or in the sign of infinity. I use those 2 expressions.
And then you do that, and you let it grow. And then it
Well, I had it up to about a year old, and it gets green mold, black mold, white mold, all kinds of great bacteria in it.
Okay.
And people who have had problems with chronic fatigue and depression, it usually removes the depression within about 20 minutes of eating it.
Wow.
Especially if you chew it.
Okay.
Now, the only thing is that it smells so stinky and foul that it's offensive and difficult, to take. I remember when I first was introduced to it in 1975 in Alaska by the Eskimos. If I got within 5 feet of it, I had a gag reaction and I was going to vomit. So I had to hold my nose to take it. And within about 40 minutes of taking it for the first time since I could remember as a child, I got a warmth through my skin and bones, which I hadn't experienced because I had blood and bone cancer. I was very sensitive to temperatures. And as the temperature got below 70 degrees, I was starting to feel pain in my joints. If it got down to about 48, I was in pain, immobilized, paralyzed with pain. So after having this, about a golf ball size of this rotten meat, which I thought was herbs at the time, just stinky rotten herbs, because I didn't know meat turned green and black and white. So I ate it, and it made me feel good for the first time. No, as a matter of fact, it doesn't. I just swallowed it down. I washed it down. It does not. What it does is it tastes. Stephanie got me to think this way because she says I chewed it, and I said, "Oh, really?" So I usually just tell people just wash it down with milk or smoothie or something. So I chewed it the next time after Stephanie told me about it, and what I suggest people do is get a swimmer's clip for the nose, and then you don't have to worry about smelling it. Okay, we'll put cotton plugs in yours, sweetie. yes, definitely. So if you use lemon juice or lime juice, especially lime juice destroys bacteria a lot better. And if you chew it, it will be absorbed right into the brain and you get happy pretty instantly. And there's a high to it. There's definitely a high, like you've taken something mild. Then you just figure you've canceled out that amount of time, and you have to start from there as far as waiting for that 4-week period for it to get ripe enough. No, it usually will only last a few days if you do that 2 days instead of 3 to 4. That's what I said. If you don't swish it around to get air in it, you're not getting enough air in it. Probably won't get very much down in there. I'm not.
Get some air in there, like read his leaves. We have a problem with it.
Right. Probably if you did that, you'd have to open it every 2 to 3 days instead. Yeah, do a figure 8. That way you don't have to open it every 2 to 3 days. 3 to 4 days. Right, yeah, you can do that. That's fine. Whatever it takes. I just go like this and cap it in again, put it in my refrigerator. No, separately in separate jars. You mean beef only? Well, it depends. The bacteria to break down white tissue in your body would probably be more like chicken and fish. Like neurological tissue would probably be able to detox better. But for the high effect, I think that any of the meats have worked. It's only one a week. I mean, you could do 2 of them a week, like I say. You could have, like you open it every 2 to 3 days. You could have one of them each time you open them. But only, one at a time, I would suggest. Oh, it'll go away for usually a week. If you have a chronic diagnosed problem with depression, then you probably need to take it about a week. Some people need to take it twice a week, but mostly once a week. Well, that depends on the neurological makeup, the biochemistry of emotion. When you go through trauma, the body registers it as a biochemical substance, and that stores like any other toxin in the body. And when you discharge it, you will have those same experiences. You will remember what happened at that time with that toxicity. People just relive it. If you look at it as a bad video that you're watching over again, it'll be easier. But if you get involved in all of that emotion that happened at the time, if it were traumatic, then you may not be too happy with the detoxification of it. But if all of that is out, then I would say you never have to worry about depression again. But that may take 4 years. But a lot of people who are chronically depressed, who go on this diet and do the high meat, usually don't suffer with the depression very much. Maybe 10%, 15% at most. No, you can still use it. It's just that it won't be as progressed as you think. That's all. The reason to keep it for many, many weeks is that it takes about a week to go through the 17 stages. There are actually like 15, but then there's 15A and B and 17A. There are about 17 stages altogether of aerobic bacterial transformations or mutations. And so you need to let it go for at least a week, opening it twice a week with the waving of getting the whole oxygen, new air in there to take it through all those stages so you get the benefits of all those stages. No, you don't. You just take it from there. Okay. It takes 4 weeks. never
Just
seen
go for
anybody
it.
make
It
a
doesn't like me
mistake.
seems so simple.
And it is very natural in nature. Dogs and cats and lots of animals will bury their meat to get it to rot. The Asians have what they call the century egg, and they bury it in different kinds of clay, and they'll pull it out from 1 to 25 years later. A 25-year-old egg, which is either completely black mold inside or white mold inside, will cost you $1,000. Good old rich men like to do it because then they can orgasm 2-3 times a day for about 6 weeks. And it's worth it, $1,000 if you can afford it. I mean, for a person like that. If you do this diet, you may not have a cessation. I don't know. I'm not old enough yet. Yes. Well, not necessarily. The meat will stink, even if you don't keep opening it. If you've let it go long enough, if you've opened it enough times. But you have to continue to open it to get all the stages of bacteria. Because once you stop opening at a certain temperature, it stops transforming. It stops mutating into the next form of bacteria. Okay? Correct, yes. At the garage, those perverts do it. I hope everybody reads that as a joke. Who gets this? Who listens to it without seeing my awful face? Anyway, yes, they do sell it. I don't know how long it's progressed by the time they sell it. December vintage, okay. Back from that long. Then it's very good and advanced. Do you open it every 3 or 4 days? Yes, so it keeps moving. And once it finishes the whole cycle, it starts over again until it's completely liquid. And about, years and years. Oh, yes. Yeah. It'll go to completely liquid because the bacteria will completely dissolve it. Yeah, you can.
And you drink it.
I've never eaten the liquid. Only meat. Except with, now I will take fish. I've taken meat, fish, and chicken and put it in a mixture of 6 ounces, like I take a quart. I'll put 5 ounces of the coconut milk, which is also called coconut water. It's not the coconut cream. It's not the fat from the pulp, but the coconut milk that's inside of your shaken. Take 5 ounces of that and about 2 ounces of lemon or lime juice. I'll take some dill and chop that up to about 2 tablespoons and blend that together for about 30 seconds, and then I add chopped fish. It is delicious. Now, if I let it sit out of the refrigerator in that mixture for about 10 days, it will completely become a soup. It will break it down, dissolve the meat, the fish meat. And it's very tasty. It's very, very wonderful. Okay, let's pass it around. Yes. Now, I've worked with some outside the refrigerator, but it moves so quickly through the stages that it's, that would take a lot of oversight, and you probably have to eat a lot more often than you'd like, and it would probably stink up your house like it would mine. Because that is very, very sealed container. Yes.
Aajonus, on the parasites, how they eat just our dead cells. I see.
They don't eat just dead cells.
They eat good cells?
Degenerative cells. No.
But they don't eat good cells.
No.
So I wanted to ask you, was using the red onions, and then lately I went into a rebellious state where I cut up a green onion, the white part and the green part, into my meat with cream.
Sounds delicious.
Am I killing myself?
Did you get gas?
No.
Then I wouldn't worry about it. If you continued it, you might get gas.
So the difference between the red onion and the green onion is gas?
Well, it irritates the intestines. The white and the yellow has a tendency to burn the intestines, and the red doesn't. Since you had it with cream, you probably prevented those acids from burning.
And I put butter and cheese in and
Yeah,
everything.
so you have lots of stuff to prevent it.
And
You know, it might be on a cellular level, it might still cause some burning, but I don't know that it would be harmful.
I see. But if I have a choice, should I just use the green part and throw the white part away, or?
Well, you know, the heart is going to be much more acidic. So probably the outer part of the onion is better, not the heart.
The heart is the white part nearer to the root.
Oh, you're talking about the green onion?
Yes, the green onion.
The chives.
Excuse me, that's what I
Very different chives.
that was my
Except
question.
that they're much more alkalinizing than like other vegetables. So you have to be careful when you use enough to season.
Okay,
But
good.
they're fine.
Okay, so scratch what, because you thought I had meant
I
green
thought
onions.
you meant the white onions, that
Oh,
maybe
no.
were a little underripe and were green or
No,
white.
no, I meant scat. Forgive me, I'm from Poland. Okay, so the scallions are okay, because that tastes so much better to me than the green onion.
Yes.
I mean, than the red onion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, it's fine, but if you start having gas and having indigestion, maybe getting constipated,
Go back. Oh,
Go back, yeah.
go back to you said the magic
The other
word.
one, constipation.
Yeah.
I love that word.
Oh, so the red onion is actually preferred.
Yes, but I mean, if you're not experiencing, any constipation or any of those other side effects, then I don't see a problem.
And then again, when you slice the red onion, you said something about the different parts of the onion are better for me, or?
Well, I'm talking about the yellow and the white.
Oh,
Or
okay.
the red, it doesn't matter. But yes, the hearts will always be more acid and a lot more pungent
Heart is like
in the center of the onions.
I saw in the news recently they were saying that there's a problem with fish and mercury, and they were saying that the top feeders are even worse. How does that affect us?
Well, I'm a top feeder and I'm awful. I'm really toxic. I don't know how many times I've answered this, but and the same people who keep asking me too the same question. It's amazing because it's like they are afraid of the mercury. There are three types of mercury. There's organic, there's inorganic, and there's vapor. And the vapor crystallizes and becomes the inorganic toxic vapor, just like the inorganic is dangerous and toxic in the human body. But the organic is very natural in nature. When the plankton produce the mercury, eat it, then the other fish feed on that, like the certain kinds of tuna at certain times of year. What is that red fish, pink fish in Florida? Snapper, red snapper, and dolphins and swordfish. They all eat that plankton that's high in mercury. That helps those fish do quite lofty things in the water. Jump, move quickly, more buoyant. As long as it's organic, it's not a poison. But once you cook that fish, you've turned that mercury that was organic into an inorganic mercury that will vaporize and crystallize in your system. So that's the danger. Cooking fish that's high in mercury, organic mercury.
Kind of going back to the mold, I didn't want to eat my moldy raspberries, although they were really good before the mold got there. But would that be beneficial to just eat them anyway?
Well, yes. As I said in the book, it helps remove, antibodies from vaccines, antibiotics, mutant antibodies.
Yeah, I remember reading from the book you said to do something with the water, but if I just eat the raspberries,
It will still do the same thing, but it will just happen slower and a smaller concentration. And if you eat only 3 at a time, 3 a week, you don't have to worry about getting fatigued. If you do it more than 3 a week,
just from a detox reaction? The fatigue?
Yes, that's a detox reaction.
Thanks.
Well, it can be a little moldy, or it can be very moldy. Again, those molds have different stages of evolution, so they will break down younger and more mature antibodies, and those are stored in the bones as opposed to the tendons deeper in the marrow. So all those stages are needed to get in there deeply. So if you're eating just the freshly molded ones, then you're probably not going to get the benefit of going anywhere deeper because the muscles will be attached to the tendons, and those are in the blood or in the fluid systems like the neurological system. But still, that's a great benefit. Well, what you can do is you can mash it or blend it, and then just separate because the seeds are very heavy. They'll go to the bottom and just spoon it out or pour it out. That way you don't have to worry about those. Okay. And yes, you can. It's better if you're trying to get rid of toxic metals and toxic antibodies from the body. It's always best to use organic. Okay. If the raspberries are not raspberries, any of the berries are not organic, they won't do what you want them to do. They will not be pulling out the toxic metals, dissolving those compounds, or the mutant antibodies. Those minerals that are in and the constituents that do that activity in the berry will become neutral. It will not be active. So it's better to use frozen berries than inorganic fresh berries. As I said in my book, I've found that there's damage to fruits when frozen. I haven't been able to correlate any ill activity from that other than, it creates the same bad sugar reactions if you have too much sugar. And the berries all have less sugar in it except for strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, mulberries, boysenberries, blackberries. All of them are low in sugar compared to other fruits. So are cherries and grapefruit. Those are lower in sugar content, and they're less likely to make you emotional and teary-eyed and anxious and nasty. Well, anxiety is all part of the same emotion, and the whiter meats might help with anxiousness a little bit more. Anxiousness is usually too much adrenaline in the system or too much testosterone, one or the other. If it's too much testosterone, I suggest people masturbate, as Dr. Ellis suggested way back in the 60s, and Guide to Rational Living. If you're nuts, it's better not to beat up your partner and the ones you love, go masturbate. And what that happens is it takes those toxic chemicals, those hormones, and it turns them into endorphins, which makes you high and happy and removes you from pain and anxiety. Okay, next.
Yes, thanks. I've been talking about the program I've started because I'm cut hair in the salon, and I mentioned about raw meat and so forth, and people bringing up all kinds of interesting questions. One of the main ones they're worried about is parasites, and I explain to what limited knowledge I have why they're good. And then someone mentioned this book called Parasites Rex, and I read part of it, and they're talking about sleeping sickness and certain worms as for eat your brains and all kinds of really heavy stuff. And when I showed it to James, he says, "Yeah, they're trying to scare you." Well, they do a good job of that. And my question ultimately is there a limit to being parasites and their goodness or badness, or can you explain this enough to where I'm well armed to answer the questions?
Well, all of those cases that they talk about they've correlated them with those parasites. It isn't the parasites parasites creating the damage, they are there as a response, as a symptom of the degenerative tissue in the brain or liver, wherever the parasites are found. So if you have massive slaughter, massive decay from some poison you've eaten or accumulation of poison, you still can't blame the parasites. They are the symptom. They're there to help you. Of course, if you're not eating properly and you add the contamination constantly, then of course you're going to provide a lot more damage for the parasites to eat, and they can eat you completely if you're all toxic.
Is that even true? If, like, you're walking through the jungle and something enters the bottom of your foot, that kind of thing too? So no matter what.
Well, that to me is one of those Hollywood horror stories. They enter through the foot. I think that is so much bull malarkey. It's incredible. They will do anything to scare you because they have no proof. They have not ever had any body step on a parasite and pass through their foot. They've never proved it in a laboratory, and that kind of speculation should never be accepted as truth. It's absurd. I've eaten the parasites, purposely eaten brains infested with parasites from a calf. I've eaten mad cow, of course. That's no big deal to me. The parasites from the tripe of chicken. I've eaten pinworm-infested salmon that was undulating, light, moving, and I didn't get parasites once. So I hear all these stories about getting parasites from raw meat, but I haven't had any evidence that you can get it, that you can actually get it from eating raw meat or parasites. Again, if there's degenerative tissue in your system, you're going to produce them. There's one experiment I did in the mid-'80s with a laboratory technician. We created a hermetically sealed environment, and we created oxygen for that room with a HEPA filter, and the oxygen produced from a natural source, which is corn dracaenas. So the air had to be filtered not to allow any parasite eggs or any bacteria into the room. In this hermetically sealed room, which was probably about 18 inches by 18 inches, with a duct going right to the room with the filter in between it where the plants were, was the slab of meat that we also slaughtered in the same area where this little environment was, completely sterilized everything, including the skin on the animal before we butchered it. Then we went deep into the animal and took the meat out of it, and then set it again on a sterile plate, a sterile dish, which was porcelain with no dyes in it, that was made from, I forgot, Windsor clay. And we placed that on and then put it in that environment, so we got no other oxygen. Didn't have time to get exposed to anything. There was nothing there to expose it. In 3 days at the animal's natural body temperature, worms spontaneously occurred. So what we derive from that is every animal cell has the seed for parasites. Do you need them? Is it necessary to have them active? That depends on the amount of degeneration and the danger to the body. The greater the danger, the more you're going to have parasites, because they can eat 5 times faster than your body can use a solvent process to dissolve the same organic compound and get rid of it.
In that regard, about parasites, then these horrible stories in the book, their solution would be to go on the same diet you're proposing, and then that would probably reverse everything and be fine, correct?
Yes, unless, they're so toxic. I've met some people that let's say they're octogenarians and they're very close to only 22% alive, and if it isn't solid scar tissue, and a lot of it's degenerative active tissue that's starting to decay, and if they got a parasite, it may not reverse. But generally, if you're on the diet and you get a parasite, or if you have a parasite and you're not in one of those conditions already, I've never seen a problem. I've never had somebody who wasn't in one of those conditions that wasn't under the care of an MD. So there's no way that I could say that, yes, somebody who's already in that condition can reverse it.
I see. You mentioned scar tissue. What kind of a category of tissue is it, other in terms of decaying or sustaining? Or
Okay, scar tissue can be mummified cells. In other words, they don't decay, they don't rot, they don't mold easily. The body has preserved them in a way, like right here, they don't function as live cells do. They don't produce their prostaglandins. They don't secrete oils, nothing like that. It's scar tissue. Dead cells that are really inactive, but they're filled. They do not break down. They don't rot easily. The body has made the chemical structure like we embalm so that they don't mold and rot. Okay, the body embalms them, so to speak. If the body hasn't embalmed them, then there's molds and bacteria, decay, degeneration, virus, parasites. Anything can work at dissolving them because they have to be eliminated if they're not embalmed and scarred.
Okay, so the scar tissue, in a sense, is tissue set aside for future regeneration when the body's inability to do it?
No, it's for later dissolution. And parasites can't eat and feed on it, definitely.
Okay,
Molds don't work, and molds don't work easily. And nor do virus or bacteria work on it easily. Bacteria can and virus can, but it's not readily something that will happen.
Well, you mentioned I have a spine full of scar tissue and most of my portion of my brain as well. So the diet's going to replace that tissue over time.
Yes, it will dissolve it either by the solvent process or bacteria, virus, or parasite that can do it.
Okay, thank you.
No, the question was this young man, John Paul, 15 years old, and a brute bear over here. She wants to know if there's any danger because he only eats 50% raw. If he got a parasite, if there would be some danger. I have not seen any danger for anybody who's had a parasite that's even eaten 50%. It keeps it down to 50%. So I would say no. If you're already in a weakened state, like an octogenarian, who's weak, and you move like this because you only have 22% of your body alive, you got 22% supporting the whole body, there's going to be a problem. There could be a problem with parasite. I haven't run into it yet because I haven't had the opportunity to experience it. But she asked, are tapeworms in that category? No, tapeworms live in the intestines mainly, and they live on carbohydrates. Children and adults in third world countries that we send them only cereals and grains and garbage, potatoes, powdered potatoes, that kind of thing. Those are the environments that feed on the tapeworm. The tapeworm eats some of that carbohydrate so your body doesn't turn into Coca-Cola and dissolve. So even tapeworms are wonderful. You start putting somebody, and I've done it with animals. I did it with a whole set of Labrador retrievers who all had tapeworms, and I put them on raw meats and raw butter and raw eggs, and they discarded all of their, and they came out in sections. I mean, a pile of these pieces of tapeworms in about 4 days. Want to pass? Is that it for that? Okay. Pass it that way. All right.
Just real quick, I accidentally found out the same thing with my cat. If she eats dry cat food, she'll get worms. And even if I give her 25% raw meat, the worms go away.
Yes, that's likely to happen with animals. With human animals that are sicker, that haven't. See, cats and dogs have really only been fed processed food for 50 years, since World War II when they started feeding them canned foods. So they are much healthier, even though they rarely get anything, raw anymore. They're still a little bit healthier than humans.
I have a question about coconut. Sometimes I buy coconut and it's moldy and the inside has a black mold or slimy. Is that still okay to eat? Or
And did you eat, coconut cake, coconut angel food cake, or still raw and putting it in your body that's cooked. All that stuff you've destroyed and eliminated from cooking it, you're allowing it you're placing it back in your body to go in there and help break it down. Everything that's organic has a process, even as inorganic, has a process of dissolving and recycling in nature. When you cook it, you destroy that. So all the help of natural recycling is lost. Iron, how does it dissolve in nature? It rusts. Rust is a mold. All compounds do that. When you cook it, heat it, you destroy it. Of course, you can't do that with metal easily. You can raise it to tremendously high temperatures, and if you expose them to lots of moisture for a long time, they'll still rust. The components of our animal organic tissue do not respond the same. It takes a lot more. So if you infuse them into spoiled foods that you've eaten, cooked, you will help remove any tissue developed by those that need those compounds, those bacteria, molds, yeast to break them down. Certainly I do not suggest it. I'm against it. I'm against using any homeopathic processed substances, whether it's derived by alcohol or whatever process. Well, if you've eaten moldy avocado, cooked avocado and anything, then I would suggest it. Otherwise, I wouldn't touch it. I don't eat moldy avocado because I've never eaten anything cooked with avocado. Right.
Is there any probability that your programmed diet can cure neurological disorders?
Like I said in the book, I've seen it reverse palsy. I've seen it reverse Alzheimer's. I've seen it bring my son out of a coma. So I've seen it reverse. I know a lot of you laugh at Kathy, but when I saw Kathy 3 years ago, she couldn't even talk. She stood basically. I saw her Bogan David, Senegal. She stood like this, and I asked her a question. It was, and it went on like that. The conversation, took quite a while, and I also mentioned Lewis, who had the same problem, and now you hear he can't keep her quiet, and that's a good thing. She still doesn't get, her mind doesn't work as quickly as ours because she used to be being very tense. Her mother was very ashamed of her, so her mother was very rough on her, and she was always putting her down, and that has affected her whether she acknowledges and understands that or not. Her mother's not naturally cruel, but her mother was just frustrated. I've seen it reverse lots of neurological damage. I have not seen it correct my thumb. When I was about 8 years old, I was hunting lightning bugs, and I was encapsulating them in my jar, and they would die, of course. And I was running after a lightning bug, and I fell on the concrete, and it cut my thumb off. So they put it all back together, and then a week to the day later, my brother got upset with me, and he went and ripped it right off again. They couldn't put it back together, so this thumb does not bend. It moves, but it does not bend, because there are no tendons attached to it except for this way. So I have not seen this correct yet. Now this finger had been cut off on a lawnmower when I was 3 years old. I was very jealous because my neighbor, a young kid, got to use our brand new push lawnmower, and I was not going to let him do it, so I went right down into the blades and stopped it, and it cut my finger off, the end of my finger. So they grafted skin from my arm here and put it on the finger. Now that became as hard as rock. I could hit anything. I could put my finger right through glass with it. When I started eating raw meat, within a year it started festering up and blistering, and guess what? It's all natural and it's feeling again. You got rid of it. So.
What are the brain cells too? Could affected brain cells be fully regenerated?
I've seen, yes. I don't know how many years it may take, depending. Now, Lewis was on the diet very strongly, 100%, and then he ran into, after about 7 years, he went from saying, a simple sentence would take him 3 to 5 minutes to talking almost normal with still just a slight bit of stuttering, and that was only because he would get nervous because he wasn't used to being able to talk. But he got into a whole network of vegetarians that talked him into not eating meat anymore. So he went almost 10 years without eating meat. So for that whole time, he did not develop and did not change. And then he realized the difference, so he began eating meat again. But then it was slowly, because he still had all these vegetarian friends, and he would do it, clandestinely. So just in the last 3 years, he's back to eating, meat a lot, and he's getting better again. So as long as you provide the fresh raw meats, the body can improve every day. But if you don't, if you're just going to poison the neurological system or any system, it's going to deteriorate. That is all theoretical. The question is, Sally Fallon was here in town last week, and she gave a talk, and she said that cooking the meat helps open the protein. Only if you're somebody who doesn't, theoretically, only somebody who does not have hydrochloric acid would that be a problem to break down protein. And when you cauterize it, you're making it a lot worse to open it when you cook it. So she's looking at the theoretics on proteins as they exist in things like grains and vegetables that we cannot digest in raw form. But meat is entirely different. I had a vagotomy pyloroplasty, which means I have no vagus nerves going to my stomach. I do not create hydrochloric acid in my stomach. I have it secreted in the intestines, as all of us do in the small intestines. But I do not have any in the stomach, and I do very well with lots of raw meat, and I digest it very well. Although I'm very sick and feeble, as you can see, so I'm full of shit.
What's the difference between cream and butter? Mainly because, I've made butter from cream, directly. So couldn't I just have cream with meat rather than butter?
Well, it depends upon your condition. If you want your skin to clear up, butter's better. And that's what you asked me. So I insisted that you have butter if that's what you want to clear up. If you want to calm the nerves and relax the brain and anxiety, then cream's better. Okay? But to get lubrication to the deeper tissues, the skin, the bones, the connective tissue, the tendons, the lymphatic system, butter is best. The same thing, once you separate the whey from it, then it becomes butter, and it's more utilizable in the exteriors and the harder foundation, harder tissue. But cream is readily absorbed in the nervous system and in the glands, readily in the organs. And let me tell you, you will not get any to your skin, to your bones, to your lymph, anywhere, because your body is much too starved, from what I've seen, and it will never get to the skin. Well, if you start vomiting, you've had enough. Well, there's lots of people who have to build their liver up to be able to digest enough. But I forced it. Like when I said in my book that I ate the poison mushroom and 90% of my liver was destroyed, I forced myself to eat a pound and a half to 2 pounds a day to force my liver to work. Pound and a half of butter, pound and a half to 2 pounds of butter a day. And I was in excruciating pain, but I knew that I would not survive unless I did it. So, your digestive, your liver made, you'll belt it into shape, or you can do it hard or soft, depends on how quickly. But I was an invalid, so I was not going to be patient. I was going to force it, push it, and I did. Okay.
You mentioned last time, and I didn't fully get it, so I'm going to ask the question again. I'm sorry. All right. You mentioned not to drink milk with smoothies, and there was some logical reason for it, and I just...
No, I'll explain it. I know what she means.
Yeah.
Okay. What she's asking is, smoothies in the book, I talk about having fruit with egg and milk, or just fruit with eggs, or butter, anything like that. Anytime you mix fruit and eggs, I call it a smoothie, whether it has milk or cream or butter in it. I found over the years that using the fruit with the eggs will cause more detoxification. It'll provide more solvents for you to detoxify. So that when people were eating that while they were in a detoxification, it would cause them to detoxify more. So they lingered longer in the flu state, the cold state, meningitis, whatever it was. If I take out the fruit, except for maybe some lemon juice, and have them eat the lubrication formula, and only raw chicken, then the cessation of that detoxification is sooner. That means you don't clean out as much, but it might be easier to take it in stages rather than pushing it. It depends on what you want to do. It's your choice. If you want to, during a detoxification, whether you're having a flu, cold, or whatever it is, pneumonia, whatever it is, if you want to work harder at getting rid of degenerative tissue in the lungs, spinal cord, throat, brain, whatever it is where you're discharging, where that bacteria is working to get rid of degenerative tissue, eat the fruit with the eggs. You will detoxify more. Milk or cream doesn't make any difference. The ice cream, because of such a high proportion of fat, it's more likely to go into fuel than solvent. But it's still, some of it will. But that's not a bad thing, as long as there's enough fat with it. Yes, that's part of the detox. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yes. Right. Because I've asked people to limit their raspberries to cream or butter or coconut cream. Okay. Yes. Well, she has cancer of the nose. She's lost half of her nose. Okay, and it's still open. She had radiation therapy, which prevents regeneration of tissue. So until we get all the radiation out of her, as she emits cancer cells when they die, they put out a serum that melts all the other tissue around so that your body can instantly dissolve tumors. But because she had the radiation, she was impaired. She doesn't heal properly. She had a lot of radiation there. Okay, so we're trying to get rid of the radiation so that she can start healing and keep the detoxification so her nose won't melt away until we get rid of that, so she can regenerate as fast as she's detoxing the cancer. Yes, you can.
And it has the same effect?
It's a little different. If you use the butter, it will get to the joints and lubricate them and soothe them up a lot more. If you're using the coconut cream, because it's 92% of the fat is 92% saturated fat, it used more for a solvent to detoxify. So the butter will be used more as a stabilizer, as a protector, than coconut cream will.
Okay, like the coconut cream, and the butter don't make me feel nauseous whatsoever. But then the milk, if I have like a full bottle in the day, I'll completely detoxify. So
Are you eating it cold or warm?
usually room temperature.
I would say that you have probably had some allergy to cooked milk, and those cooked milk products are stored in your body, and it forces
Each one of those?
Yep, moldy or fermented, definitely. Small amounts, therapeutically. Yep. Well, it depends, you know. It just means you might go into more colds and flus more often. You may be satisfied with just making your life very, very smooth and comfortable. So you may not want to force the detox. That's a choice to make. Because like I said in my book, you know, people who have eaten cooked foods all their life and they're up there in their 60s and 70s and 80s, they don't want to detox anymore. You know, they just want to make sure their blood, their neurological system, and their lymphatic system is regulating clean. Not the deeper tissue to clean it and make it better, but to make sure those operate as best you can, even though some toxins will dump from the deeper tissues into those systems periodically.
Well, I've got several chronic problems like gout and enlarged prostate.
Okay, then they probably will not reverse unless you go through some detox. Now, the more comfortable way to incite a detox is to sit on hot water bottles for your prostate. That means when you're at night, you put a hot water bottle between your legs and let the heat get to that area to increase circulation. And that is a mild way of doing it. You're focusing on that area. Where you have your experience, you gout in your ankles or your feet, where is it?
It's mostly the top of my feet.
The top of your feet. Then at night, I'd have a hot water bottle between my legs and one at my feet.
Okay.
That's what I did. Instead of eating lots of smoothies and stuff like that, when I was in severe pain from, you know, all the cancers that I had, cancer of bone, blood, stomach, lymphoma, and then all my other diseases, I would sleep with sometimes 6 hot water bottles.
And the other question is, I've also had my vagus nerve cut.
You too?
Now, is there any special thing that you could suggest for that?
I find that with me, I don't know, you're the first person who told me that they've had their vagus nerve severed in my whole life. You know, vagus nerve. Yes, it is. We're not allowed to gamble anymore. The vagus nerve is your thickest belt of nerves, and it comes down from the brainstem, goes to the stomach. Those were all severed so that hydrochloric acid doesn't dump in the stomach. They usually use it with people that are over 60 who have ulcers, and it prevents the hydrochloric acid from irritating the ulcer, so hopefully it will mend. You don't remember the book? Read the book. Yeah, I had an ulcer that went tumorous. Yeah.
Okay, yesterday I had a very emotional conversation on the telephone for about
Speak
half an
closer
hour.
to it because of the plate.
I had a very emotional conversation on the telephone for about half an hour. And then after I got off, I felt a whole lot of stress and tension in my body. And so I thought, well, maybe if I have butter, it's going to calm everything down. And I had about a third of a pound, and I usually feel fine after eating butter, although yesterday I felt extremely nauseous after eating the butter. So was it the wrong food, or
You must have been talking to a witch. You got somebody upset, right?
and so is it a good thing, the nausea with the butter, or is it a bad thing?
Well, it's just an indication. He normally can eat 3/4 of a pound of butter at a time and not get nauseous. As I said, you have biochemical substances from psychological trauma, emotional trauma, biology of emotions. The best way to get rid of any poison, any toxin in the body is for it to dump into the stomach. Well, guess what the body wants to do when it gets it dumped into the stomach? It wants to vomit. So the automatic reaction is nausea. If you can dump it out the stomach, then your body doesn't have to process it all the way through the body. That's why I said in the book, the best thing you can do is vomit. The next best thing you can do is have diarrhea. Quickest way to get those things out of the body. Not very convenient and not very pleasant, but it's the quickest way to get that out of the body. It's been my experience that if somebody can vomit, they can eliminate, from one vomit, they can eliminate about 3 days of toxicity that would pass slowly out the system. Diarrhea, 1 day of diarrhea it's consistent, can eliminate a whole week of toxins coming out slowly out of the body. If you are nauseous, then I always suggest that you induce vomiting. Well, usually if you eat, like he did, lots of butter, and then stick your finger down your throat, it'll work. Or if you eat butter and egg together, you know the old saying on the poison bottles, swallow an egg and vomit. You know, basically they tell you swallow a raw egg. The raw egg will absorb the poisons, and then you vomit, and it'll bring it right up. If you're nauseous, induce vomiting, that's a sign. That's a sign that the poisons are dumping into the stomach. Then you're just going to vomit your food and not poisons, right? And I said there's another way in the body. If you want to handle it, you can eat cheese and then pass it through your system. It's a slower way out, and it's a waste of some good nutrients. But then if you're swallowing an egg or butter and vomiting that's a waste too. So it's up to you how you want to pass it through. You have three options. Cooked mustard does, yes, because cooked mustard paralyzes peristalsis. But raw mustard does not. It stimulates peristalsis. The activity of the intestines moving food through. Yes, eat everything that does not combine. So, let's say a mixture of 3 ounces of vegetable juice, 4 ounces of milk, 1 egg, 1 to 2 eggs, 1 to 2 ounces of vinegar, and about 3 ounces of cream, and you'll vomit. You'll get diarrhea. Because nothing of that digests together. It'll help, but it won't cause a larger reaction. If you need to really push things out quickly, yes.
I want to ask you a question. I know the answer, but I just want to hear the answer.
You like to hear me talk?
Well, I want to hear it. I've got several $1,000s worth of vitamins and minerals and things. Best thing to do is just put them in the trash can.
Oh, no. They're great for plants. So blend them with some water and spread it out among your plants. See, all that's, if it's taken from food or, rock or any kind of substance, plants eat that. That's what they eat. The rain comes in with the bacteria and the moisture, and it causes funguses and molds to break it down so that they can process it. They eat inorganic matter and make it organic so that an animal can eat that and other animals can eat those animals. And that's basically where we are. So all of those vitamin supplements, feed them to your plants if you had any. And let me tell you, I did it one time, and I had a pine tree grow 1/4 its whole size in 1.5 years, 18 months. You don't want to do it indoor plants because you'll start the plant having problems. Get disease outdoors if you've got outdoor plants. Anything, right? Yeah. And all those things that you think are good for your particular condition, you've gotten all those minerals and vitamins for, feed it to the plants that you want to eat. Juice them, and then you'll have them biologically available, bioactively available. Or you feed them to the animal and eat the animal, whichever way.
Okay, my question has to do with the use of lemon.
Up closer to your mouth.
Okay, a lot of the dishes prepared here were with lemon, like lemon and a fish, that sort of thing. But as far as I'm concerned, lemon is a fruit like oranges are a citrus fruit.
It's not real high in sugar, and you need very little bit. You need small amounts, so you're not really consuming a lot. And the citric acid, because it's high in vitamin C, a lot of it will go to burning fat as fuel, utilizing fat as fuel. So it's not a problem. We're not talking about a lot of sugar.
Right. And how about
do that sometimes to help people get rid of headaches and things like that. Menstrual cramps. It helps with that. Also getting rid of headaches, like I say in the book. It's all good for that.
Thanks.
Okay. Yes, it will help preserve the juice too. Yeah. That's for burning fat. Yeah. Citrus and red meat I do not suggest because the citrus juice has a tendency to cause the meat to turn into a pyruvate, which is a protein sugar. So you won't use it for regeneration, you'll use it to burn fuel. And that's an expensive way to burn fuel when you're going to have fat that burns 2.5 times more energy than pyruvate would. Tomatoes, no. Tomatoes an acid that doesn't have high vitamin C in it. So high vitamin A and it's more neutral. So it doesn't do that same thing. So yes, you can have tomatoes with red meat without the same problem. Randy.
I have a question. A good source.
You're the host, you don't get a question.
Okay. Good sources for really fresh caught fish. Where in town?
For what fish?
Well, any of the fishes that we can have, but I mean really fresh. I mean, I remember we were on Maui. You get fresh. The fish is so fresh that you've never tasted anything like it. You know? And here you go to Whole Foods and it's like, by the time you buy it, most of the time it already smells like ammonia. And it's supposed to be like 1 day old.
Right.
Where can you get really fresh fish?
Around here, nowhere. Unless you know a fisherman. That's it. Your sushi bars will be always the freshest. However, the law in Los Angeles is that if it's over 24 hours old, the sushi bar has to freeze it. So you have to find out what they get in that day. Hold on. The mic's going to get you soon. Okay. Or is it about something? Same thing. Okay.
Hey, do you know about using henna to color hair? Is henna something?
Well, henna comes from a natural herb,
Right.
a plant. Once they process it, it's just like any other chemical. It may not be as toxic as other dyes, but it is still a chemical and will cause damage. Anybody who's using coloring, whether it's natural or not, I suggest that they take olive oil, put it on a plate, drab their fingers in it, and put it in their scalp, not necessarily on the hair, but just get it all into the scalp. Leave it for about a half an hour, and then wash the hair and then dye it. But you don't want to wash the scalp. You don't want to, make sure that those soaps go in and clean off the oil in the scalp. Just the hair as easily as possible. Olive oil doesn't clean easily unless it's manipulated with the soap. So if you're just washing the hair, then you're going to get rid of the oil, any oil that got on the hair, so it will take the dye. And then the olive oil will protect the dye from causing damage to the scalp or the follicles.
Okay, and then other things that can help, like if I want to lighten my hair, I could use lemon juice, right?
Lemon juice and sunshine.
Lemon juice and sunshine.
Yeah.
What about
And then-
apple cider vinegar on the hair? Do you know?
That will really dry it out.
Oh, does it?
Both of them dry it out
Oh, okay.
terribly. So if you want, the best way that I've seen people do that is if they get a lot of sun. They'll put the lemon juice on their hair, and then if they put butter on their hair and go out in the sun, it will bleach it faster. Butter, not cream, not any other kind of fat. Coconut can do the same thing to some people.
Okay, so you just put the lemon juice on and then butter.
Yeah, you put the lemon juice on, get out in the sun for the day, then the next day you go out in the sun, you put butter on it.
Oh, lemon juice one day, butter the next.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank
Otherwise you get too dry and keep using the lemon.
Okay. Thanks.
I use 2 ounces of vegetable juice, 1 egg. Okay, my shampoo, I use 2 ounces of vegetable juice, whatever I'm making at the time. It's always the green stuff. And 1 egg, 2 ounces of milk, and 1 heaping tablespoon of honey. That is my shampoo and my body soap. And what I do is take a brush and
didn't distribute it that way. I just start putting it on, and when I get finished, it distributes fine. It fills my whole body. In fact, I have maybe an ounce left for the bath, just to dump right in. Yes, because the body discharges poisons out the gums and off the teeth. The plaque is usually inorganic minerals or cauterized minerals from cooked food that discharge with some good organic foods from the food that you've eaten. So I don't really feel like processing that through the body, so I expectorate it. Yes. Well, I still go every one. You have to understand that I had a mouthful of amalgams, and I had them removed in 1978. And the doctor that I went to butchered my mouth. So he put caps, lots of caps. It didn't have to be capped. You know, he just liked this aesthetic look, and he wanted to do that. So as the caps have popped off, I've refused to put more caps on. As the fillings have popped out, I've refused to have them refilled. So I go back to a dentist just to make sure that they're not rotting, and but not that I'll have them do anything. I just want to know that they're not in decay. Because I was supposed to have my teeth removed 33 years ago, because after chemo and radiation it deteriorated the bone around the teeth, so they dangled. So when I bit down on my own teeth, I would bleed anywhere from about a quarter to a half a cup at a time. So I had to drink everything through a straw. And they said, well, we need to remove all of your teeth. I said, I'm dying in a few months, and you want me to remove my teeth? You know where you can shove that. I'm going to go to my coffin with my teeth. So I decided not to have my teeth removed, and my teeth are solid in my face. The bones grew back, restabilized.
you so well, so you've been on it a while, and your body is so in tune, and says, I do not want any of this to store in my body, so I'm going to put you into a full detoxification. And the body, when it detoxifies, it will use every part of your body. It will use your gums, your salivary enzymes, your tear ducts, your earwax, your nostrils, your sinuses, your throat, your lungs, your esophagus, all the mucous membrane in your body, vaginal cavities if you have one, and rectum, skin, hair. It will go out everywhere it can.
So it wouldn't be as effective as doing the moldy situation.
No, that doesn't have
That's
a lot to do.
that's
Not unless you ate something like cooked fish. Then I would eat berries definitely to get rid of that poison mercury or any other free radical that would be pretty dangerous. It could be dangerous to the nervous system. Right. And let me tell you, whenever I leave the house, except when I came here, I always take 24 hours of food, regardless if I'm going. You never know when the police may stop you and get a ticket. Your car breaks down and you can't get it fixed. You just never know what's going to happen. And I've been without food for sometimes quite a while. Good food. So I always take enough for 24 hours, no matter if I'm going out to a movie. There's nothing there. Right. No banana, no nothing, MSG and all kinds of stuff.
So the detox I was going through, that was just for the food I ate that day, or did it trigger back memory?
It depends on what you ate.
It was like bean dip,
let's say bean dip,
cheese.
Oh, then you've got lots of chemicals that probably could have just been from that day. If it lasted 24 hours, 36 hours,
it's been 4 days now.
Oh, then it's probably triggered other detoxifications. Because it usually takes about 36 hours to get rid of one toxic meal. Yes, what she asked was, since his body started detoxifying that food that he ate for that one day, did it cause his body to detox old stuff from past toxic meals? And I said yes. Sometimes that will happen. Roger, finally.
Okay. How would you detoxify mercury?
Well, when I get somebody with high mercury in the system, I tell them to suggest that they eat berries, raspberries, mulberries, blueberries, boysenberries. Blueberries is very, very good for that, for ridding mercury. Pardon? Strawberries do not. Well, strawberries are high in silica, so they'll help get rid of toxic calcium and magnesium and silica and all those related ones. But if you want the heavy detoxification, you have to go for the other berries that are not high in sugar. And I suggest that people eat it with coconut cream. Coconut cream helps protect, helps also dissolve and absorb the poison metals like mercury to prevent it from being absorbed and damaging other tissue as it's passed out of the body, because mercury is one of the most toxic substances there is, metals. Detoxifying an area that has mercury in it, it has nothing to do with digestion. You've already got the nutrients available, or else your body wouldn't be dissolving it. That's why I say people eat the berries with the fat, and then you'll be sure that it works on toxic metals. Otherwise, you won't. And if it does work on the toxic metals, and you're eating berries, and you don't have the right creams and fats to bind with it, then you're going to damage more tissue in your body, and then you could develop, autism, all kinds of problems, Alzheimer's. Always eat cream with the berries, yes. DSM, I haven't used it directly, but I've worked with clients who've done it and used it, and sometimes they swear by it, and sometimes it's caused more problems. It's a sulfur compound that people use to get rid of certain conditions. To me, it imbalances the system. It takes symptoms away, but does not relieve the cause. Anytime you drink mineral water, you're drinking minerals that are not bioorganically active, and you're not going to absorb them. So you can utilize a certain amount of minerals from water to attract by ionization toxins that are in the blood out of the blood into the intestinal tract. If you drink a lot of it, it's going to leach and cause a great depletion of minerals in your system and deplete you. That's why I rarely drink water. I probably drink during the winter a half a cup a week, during the summer a cup a week, and that's it. Still the same thing. Water is water. It's not bioactive anything. Too much of it is going to cause mineral depletions, including Gerolstein or any of them. Yeah, I drink milk when I'm thirsty. Vegetable juice. No, coconut water is not. Coconut water has a lot of other elements in it, and the coconut meat develops from the coconut water, so there are hormones in it. A little different. Pardon? No. It says good for you. It doesn't like water. It doesn't deplete the body. Yeah. Like I said, I like to marinate fish in it with, lemon or lime juice, some dill, but you can make all kinds of things, or you can just drink it. Roger, did you have something else to ask? Go ahead and ask again.
For a long period of time.
Ask the question again.
Is it better to have eggs out for a long period of time so they spoil?
Yes, well, it depends upon what you want to do. If you want to have a lot more sexual energy, if you want to have, more bacteria in your body to help you get well quicker, then, like the Chinese do it. I've let it sit out in the sun until it stinks terribly and sometimes turns black.
How long is that?
It all depends upon the egg. But sometimes I let eggs sit out and they just won't rot, and then others, or start molding, and others will go in days. It all depends upon the egg. But they're usually very stinky. Worse than the meat.
Okay, thank you.
It absolutely tastes delicious. You just have to plug your nose. Absolutely. Don't open it in the house. Don't eat that stuff in the house unless you want your mate to kick you over. Yes. Try it. You might stink. I doubt you'll get any more attractive to anybody. Anytime you eat. Never put them in a refrigerator because they lose enzyme activity and you can't ingest as much protein.
I'm trying to heal my wrist injury, and I've been told by a chiropractor that the main damage is in my muscles and tendons. Does that mean that eating raw chicken still going to be beneficial?
The raw chicken and beef is best. Raw chicken and fish is best.
For the muscles and tendons?
Correct. Well, the muscles, no, it's red meat. So if it's where the muscles and the tendons meet, then, and not where the tendons and the bones meet, then it would be red meat and chicken. If it's, where the tendons and the bone meets, then it's chicken and fish.
Okay. And I'm just starting on the diet. And you suggested I do the vegetable juice of celery, zucchini, and parsley. What is that doing for me if I'm doing that, every day? 32
Well,
hours?
the celery juice keeps the mineral at a nice balance. The high sodium in the celery keeps the adrenals going, because most people have toxic adrenals. Plus, the chlorophyll helps alkalinize the blood because it gets too acidic from dumping toxins, transporting toxins from one area to another. Let's say it picks the toxins up from the lymph system and dumps it into the bowels. It causes toxicity and reactions in the blood while it's there. So that needs to be cleaned up, and the chlorophyll and the other elements in the parsley is very good for that. If I suggested zucchini or any of the summer squash for you, then that means you've got mineral toxicity, and the zinc and all the minerals in the summer squash they magnetize to other toxic minerals. So it helps control free radicals, especially toxic minerals that become freed up from the system, from the tissues.
And when I'm eating the raw butter, if I eat it with the raw honey, is that as the same thing, or is it okay to eat it with the raw honey together all the time? Or like when I'm eating the meat, raw meat, can I, you recommended that I eat raw butter with the meat.
Well, I want you to always have butter with the meat, but because I don't like you, I don't want you to enjoy it, so no, you can't have the honey with the meat.
It's a lot easier to eat the butter with the honey.
You can have the honey with the butter anytime you want with the meat. People who eat too much honey become protein deficient because most of the honey is converted into enzymes for digesting and utilizing proteins. So if you eat too much honey, you might cause yourself to be protein deficient. That's the only drawback there.
And for young men who may have too much sexual energy, is there something that's good for that besides?
Yeah, you go see Mini 5. Mini 5. That's the best way I know. I haven't found any way, because sometimes the hormones need to be active because other glands are imbalanced. So that may be overactive for a purpose and a necessity. And if I cause you to lower that, then you might be depressed as well as non-sexual. So it's better to be over-sexual and take care of yourself if you don't have a partner than it is to mitigate them. But if someone came to me with, like, Mike Tyson, who was beating his girlfriend up, and I want to reduce all of his hormone levels, I would have him eating, some bread every day. And if I liked him, I would, probably tell him to eat the nut formula every day to do the same thing. However, it probably put him into a neurological detoxification if he did that.
What does a nut formula do?
The nut formula has lots of starches in it. The formula that I've created there allows prevents the enzyme retardants that prevent protein digestion in nuts to be neutralized. So that particular formula, if you leave any element of it out, it won't work. So you've got to have egg, you've got to have nuts, you've got to have honey, and you've got to have a fat all together for it to work.
When you suggested I blend it in my blender, I couldn't get it to really work well in the blender.
Did you use the glass like I showed you? The jars?
I used to use the
never be able to do it. You've got to use the small jars.
Small jars, okay.
Otherwise, you put food in a large container like that without a compressed area, the nuts and everything will just go all up along the side and won't mix properly. But when you use the blender jar with small mouth jars and screw the blade, put the washer on first and the blade's inside that, and then screw the base on, then you've got it in a good hermetic environment. What you do is you blend the nuts first into a powder, then you add the egg, the butter, coconut cream, or cream, and then you add the honey, and then you blend it again. It depends upon the individual, but anywhere from 2.5 ounces to 4 trust the producer of the peanut oil anymore. They've lied to me too many times, and I've had bad reactions. So now I tread lightly with telling people to eat the peanut oil. If it's light yellow in color, it's probably fine. But if it isn't, and it has a slightly amber tint or an orange tint to it, then it is not good. Yeah. It's probably fine then. You should be keeping it in a dark cupboard. Well, light will destroy it after about 6 months. Thicker than normally comes with an Oster and Osterizer. I suggest people buy an Oster and Osterizer, except for that kind that looks like a 4-leaf clover, and they've got the thick hole type, the old drugstore type. That's not a good one, but the one that has a base that unscrews, that fits all of the small, regular-sized blender jars, or what they're called jelly canning jars. Yeah, the one that comes with the blender is usually too thin. So you go to a hardware store or a small appliance store, and you get a couple of them. I usually buy 5 at a time, because you never know. Sometimes you're going to fall in there and get caught in the blades, and then it's a mess. So that makes it very easy, and that's an easy way to blend it. That's not a blender. That's either a juicer or that's a mixer. That's not a blender. When I'm talking about a blender, it's got a separate blade and it's very powerful. That is more like stirring things or blending or whipping them. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it usually won't work for nuts and stuff like that, though. So it's better to have something very high, powerful, and stable that isn't, just the normal shaft going down into it. Brian.
Hi, Aajonus.
Hi.
I want to ask a longer question about gaining weight, but I just want to start by making a comment that I noticed you were wearing sunglasses earlier, and there's a lot of people on the internet group that feel like sunglasses aren't of any value. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, they're not good. But since I had that cancer that burned, a third of my nose away and a third of my brow here, and put a hole in my head all the way through the bone, and the cancer fluids leaked into my eye and burned the eye, I will be like this all the time and glaring like this. In the bright sun, it doesn't bother me. With the lights glaring like this, it hurts that eye. So.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to have you read.
And I wanted to look cool. Well, hold on. Let him finish. Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to have you quickly summarize the generic weight gain. You probably can't tell, but I've gained a couple pounds since last time. But it's really, I was also wanted to ask if there's any kind of shortcut for somebody like me that's basically doing everything themselves and have work 10 hours a day and all that.
Yeah. Well, it's like I tell everybody who was skinny at one time, you eat until you're ready to vomit. That means you eat until you start going, and you can't eat anymore. That's when you stop. But you stuff yourself, you go beyond being full. And then finally you'll get beyond that. Like Mr. Pig here, he can eat like crazy now. Both of them. And these were really skinny guys. Look at the size of them now. And they were thinner than you. Right? But it's that. You always have to eat lots of fat with your meats. Lots of fat. You eat lots of meat without fats, with small amounts of fat.
Do you mean like
lots of meat?
Quarter pound of butter with a meal, something like that?
At least a quarter pound. At least a quarter pound. He does eat a half a pound at a sitting with his meat. And he can gain 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Yeah. And he couldn't gain any weight before that. But you have to really go beyond it. You really have to force it. How about your experience, James? You had the same problem? Did you have to force yourself? Can we give him the mic, because I'm just not hearing it? I saw you?
166.
166. And what are you now?
210.
210.
It took a while. I'd say about a year and a half before I got the message that I wasn't eating enough. And the minute I really started to just change that feeling within myself, even, the diet changed me emotionally as well. So all of a sudden I was more calm, the cream and everything in the beginning, the butter, and all of a sudden I noticed there was a huge change in how much weight I could gain in a short period of time. It really did make a difference. But you really got to force yourself. I didn't force myself in the beginning. I watched him force himself. I didn't force myself. And because I didn't, it took me longer. So I think if I had tried to force myself to eat a pound of meat or more a day, it would have worked faster.
And he told me, what is it you said I was full of it? I told you you should be about 230 pounds.
No, it was funny because the first time I ever saw Aajonus, I went to a Whole Life Expo, and it was a workshop, and I sat in the front row with it was supposed to be a workshop that was full, and luckily there was only about 9 or 10 people there, and so he took a little bit more time to look at each one of us, and I held out my hands, and he said I was either over-acidic or whatever. I can't remember what that comment was, but then he says, you should weigh like 230. I didn't say anything, but my thought at that point was, this guy is out of his mind. There's no way I'm going to weigh 230. Well, I'm only 15 pounds from that now. I still look like I'm thin. The amount of density I've gained and whatnot it's unbelievable. You really do see a huge change when you really do it the way that it's designed. It works.
So do you understand more with that, Brian, now? Force yourself to eat. Don't go long hours without eating.
Well, one comment I was going to make, there's such a good selection here today that I had like 4 servings. I just kept
There you go.
So you're saying like over time I might get up to like 200 pounds.
How tall are you?
Right around 6 foot.
6 foot? Yeah, about 200 pounds. I like to get up to 220 and go back to 200, up to 220, go down to 200, like I asked him to do.
Another thing I notice is that when you can eat food that's prepared, find the things that really work for you. Sometimes it doesn't work just to sit and grab some meat out of the refrigerator, and you really want to make it look or taste better. Whatever you can do to it to eat more of it will obviously work better for you.
And another thing, I can sit down with a quarter pound of meat and be repulsed by the time I finish the quarter pound of meat. But if I stop and have 3 tablespoons of butter, I can eat another half a pound. If I have a couple more tablespoons of butter, I can keep going. Every time I have some more butter, I can eat more meat. And I've sat down and had 3 pounds at a time as long as I keep having butter. But otherwise, I get repulsed and I don't want it anymore. The Loop formula is very good for helping to gain weight. Right, and you can even have the Loop formula with the meat. When I need to gain weight fast, that's what I do. I have the Loop formula with my meat. The lemon is already combined with butter, so it's already bound with something that won't cause problems with the meat fat, the meats. See, because what happens is the lemon juice goes in and works on the fat in the meat. Without the meat being utilized, without the fat being utilized with the meat's not going to be utilized as a regeneration tissue. They have to go together. If they don't go together, it will not be regeneration tissue. The body will just use the protein and convert it into a pyruvate, which is a sugar, which helps burn fats or utilize fats as energy. If you have the lemon with the meat, it seeks out the fat in the meat, in the beef. It separates it, and that's what will happen. If you have the butter mixed with the lemon juice is already actively working, is already set on the butter fat, and won't get into the meat fat. As long as they're already combined, that's great. Okay, anyone else back there? Lauren.
Hi. Okay, I have a question about, I just read your book a little while ago, and a lot of it makes a lot of sense to me. Eating things raw makes a lot of sense to me. But in has always been a strange concept to me. You did a good job in your book of explaining like eating other animals and stuff. I was wondering if you might say something about drinking another mammal's milk.
I don't have a problem with that. I was against it as a vegetarian for quite a while, for the 6 years that I did it, vegetarianism. When I began eating meat, I tried to stay away from dairy because I had that taboo about it. But every time I utilized it with myself, me and my patients, we were all more relaxed, more nurtured, everything was calmer, everything progressed well, there wasn't as much emotion, as much distortion, as much anxiety. Everything was so much easier. So as long as it doesn't become toxic, I will continue to use it, and it has not become toxic to me, and I've been using it mostly for the last 20 years on a daily basis, and a lot of it.
One other question. You were talking a little bit about like eating cooked starches like breads and stuff for like excess hormones. They're in one's body and stuff. Do you take the same approach with hormones in women's bodies as in men's bodies? Or I guess it probably depends on what the symptoms are as far as how to treat it, but...
Well, no, usually women aren't as violent and can be as hostile and damaging as men. And I only suggest that for people who are going to be a danger to other people. If a woman came to me wielding a gun, I would say have a piece of bread and butter. Definitely.
Well, what do you suggest for, like, just balancing female hormones?
The nut mixture.
The nut mixture. Okay. Thank you.
It works for males and females. That's why I suggest that everybody have it once a week. You don't want it once a day. If you have it once a day, you can throw yourself into a neurological detoxification and find yourself unable to sleep between 12:30 at night and 5:30 in the morning. And then it's going to rearrange your whole life. So no more than twice a week, preferably just once a week.
Getting back to what James was saying, on the topic of weight gain, why is it you seem to be suggesting that gaining weight is good?
Because I want to look best.
Because I've gained 10 pounds since I started diet 6 weeks ago, and I noticed that it's a lot is like the bloating in my stomach is happening a lot. Do I have to keep that look with my stomach sticking out?
Well, what I recommend people do is do the weight gain and the weight loss. What they do is when you have that extra weight there, the poisons that dump, like I say, they dump into the stomach and the intestines. If you don't have the fats around that area to protect yourself when they're dumping, you could be in some trouble. Either emotional or physiological, going to peritonitis, all kinds of problems. So it's better to have the weight. You notice that thin people are a lot more anxious and a lot more irritable than people who are overweight. No, I'm talking about even on the raw food. Yeah.
So then is it not a good idea to be striving to have the very thin waist, like, and six-pack stomach kind of look? Is that...
Well, you're talking about a beer six-pack, or you're talking about the muscle, the washboard six-pack?
The washboard.
Right. Well, it's not really. I've got two clients who are actors, males who are actors that have that, and they are much more emotional, and they don't get it, and they're very intense, and it's difficult to have a relationship with somebody like that. So they don't have as good as relationships as people who are have more weight and are calmer. And when they've been overweight, they were a lot calmer and had better, they were happier. But when they stay thin and the washboard look like that because they think that looks good, their personalities are not as calm and nice. And they're really intense. I'm repeating myself. Thank you.
A little bit on the other side of the coin here, somebody that wants to lose a little bit of weight.
Well, I suggest that people don't get, depending upon their size, I suggest that for women's sake, because the vanity side of it. Of course, men are that way, aren't they? But women more so worry about it. They really get upset with me when I tell them I want you to gain 10 to 12 pounds overweight. I used to suggest 15 to 18 pounds overweight, but I learned my lesson. So now I say 10 to 12 pounds overweight, and then lose it, gain it, and lose it. So men, I say anywhere from, depending upon your size, I will go up 15 pounds, up, down, and 15 to 20 pounds. He goes 20, 25 pounds, and he's 6 foot, but he's 4 inches taller than I. It depends upon the person. But if you want to lose weight, what you do is have just a little bit of butter with your meat, or a little bit of cream, so you have small amounts of fat with your meat. Lots of meat, though, because the meat will be turned into pyruvate a lot, and what does pyruvate utilize? Fat. That's why they're selling these pyruvate pills for you to lose weight, because what does it go after? It seeks fat. Let's say you want to lose weight, and you're having 8 ounces of meat at a time, 2 tablespoons of butter instead of 4 to 8. Well, on the diet, excuse me, if you're on my weight gain and weight loss programs, if you come to me, I tell people to go on a weight gain and weight loss program. When I tell them to lose weight, they've been on the diet and stabilized, I give them a particular way to do it. But if you haven't been to me and you're not doing 100% raw and all of that, I suggest you do it that way. If you're on my kind of diet and you're gaining the weight and you want to lose it, comes time to lose it, I suggest people drink. Now this depends upon the individual, but for an example, like Odette, she asked me for her weight loss program, for her I suggest 1 cup of vegetable juice. When she gets very hungry, again, that doesn't mean stupid hungry or angry hungry, that just means very hungry, to have a golf ball size of meat. The next time she gets very hungry, another golf ball size of meat. Next time she gets hungry, a cup of vegetable juice. The next time she gets hungry, an egg, Rocky style. Next time she gets hungry, golf ball size of meat. And then start that over again. Meat, juice, meat, juice, egg, meat for her. And should you keep rotating that? Now, most people, when they do the weight loss program, they may eat every hour because they're so hungry. But after 4 or 5 days, you start losing the appetite. And sometimes I'll suggest people have a glass of milk every 3 to 4 days to help calm the system. Some people I will tell have a glass of milk every night, depending upon their system. So it'll make the weight loss slower, but they'll be calmer and easier going through it. Because some people can't make it, on that kind of a program. And some people will get so dry, and they're so dry, like James Stewart. Now, he is so dry that if I put him on a weight loss program, he's still going to have 1 tablespoon of butter with 2 of his golf balls of meat a day. Or he'll have 2 golf ball size because he's a larger person at one time. But out of 2 of those meat meals a day, he'll have 1 tablespoon of butter because he's still too behind in lubricating the body. So that gives you a sense without making it so complicated. You didn't get it? Okay, terrific. Okay, we went through them, but let's have one last one. Hold on.
Weight gain, can you do it with just dairy, cheese, and eggs?
No. No, won't happen.
Mean red meat?
Yep. The red meat, white meats, depending upon your system. But you look pretty, you have a lot of symptoms of anemia. So I doubt you're going to put on muscle tissue. I doubt that you're going to put on much muscle tissue without having red meat. And lots of fat with it.
And no one mentioned goat butter. I picked up some goat butter that supposedly is raw and unpasteurized. Good as regular dairy butter?
I have never had access to it. People have told me that they have. I've never had access to it, so I can't tell you. When I drink goat milk, and I've observed people who have goat milk, it doesn't make them as calm as cow's milk. So if somebody has a very high adrenaline level, I suggest that the lots of good, delicious goat's milk. But when summer came around, I started stinking like a goat, so I decided not to do it for my vanity's sake. I stink enough as it is because of my breath from the bogamy. The parasites and bacteria and all of that. The zappers are not good. You want the bacteria parasites. They'll help you. Your question?
Yes. Once again, a client situation with me and my people in my salon. I'm presenting people a lot to read the flyer. And one thing that really catches their interest is a lot of women are overweight. They read the story about the 280-pound woman on the ice cream diet. There sometimes takes a while for them to mentally prepare themselves for the thought of raw meat. So the question becomes, can someone sort of ease their way into this concept by, say, doing an ice cream diet, getting some of that weight loss as they acclimatize themselves to the raw food idea?
It depends on how large that person is. If they're only 20, 25 pounds overweight, the ice cream diet isn't going to help them lose very much.
Most of the women I'm speaking of are probably 35 to 80 to 100 pounds overweight.
Then the ice cream diet will help them lose some weight. Raw ice cream diet. Not right. I had cooked pasteurized ice cream.
Not drivers, I don't understand.
Just the opposite, right?
Okay. That isn't listed. I mean, is there specifics for it, or?
No, because you can't get specific. If I were to see the person, I can get specific about it because I can look for, markers that will show that they will lose weight more and they won't lose weight more by it.
So I can suggest to read the flyer, then buy the book. After the book, they see you. You might give them a specific way to ease them into it, so they're not committing to the raw meat point right away.
Yes, and no, the meats. If they've read the book, they're already open to it. And usually, when they leave my office, they're already open to the meat.
Okay. Well, I just think this is almost like a lead-in then.
People who come to me have already been open to the meat, unless they'll call me at first and say when they're setting up the appointment, say, "Can I do this without meat?" And I'll say, "I've only known 8 people out of about 3,000 who could. If you're one of those 8 people, fine, but it's doubtful. And if you're not a man, you're only one out of 3,000 that I've seen. Only one woman's been able to do it without meat. So, and then she's not doing so well now. She's 35 and she's starting to, lose everything."
Thank you.
Dennis?
Yes.
Since the successful demonstration at the supervisor's building downtown and the repeal of the milk, the stupidity that has been in LA for many years, what's happening on the front of like Altadena or any other suppliers coming up with milk? Because at $3.50 a quart, it's still pretty high. It would be nice to bring that price down as much as we drink the milk and eat the butter and that sort of stuff.
Well, because of the cost to to Stuvie's, Altadena hasn't, been into the raw business except to distribute it since 1991, I think it was. Stuvie's family name had started the Altadena dairy, and they sold it 10 years ago. And the people who bought Altadena agreed to continue to distribute it, package it and distribute it. That association is gone. The LA Medical Milk Commission puts such hard stringency, restrictions, regulations on raw milk that was rarely passing. Altadena was losing money, and they got out of the business and said, "Stuvie's, we're not going to package anymore." Stuvie's has lost so much money that to recoup, they're going to put out milk whatever's out there at that price. They're not going to come down, I guarantee you. It's not going to come down. So the only way we're ever going to get milk down is if we start a co-opportunity and get our own land and our own herds. But I'm not sure that will save us anything either. With the prices so high with land and, especially in California or anything like that. I doubt it'd be better just pay your $3.50 a quart at this point. It would be lovely, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I formed Right to Choose Healthy Food to fight these laws, and we just won something about a month ago. A particular senator in the Irvine area had presented a bill which would have outlawed anybody from telling anybody else that a food is good for any disease. That means if you had gone to your grandmother, or let's say a neighbor, because your grandmother wouldn't, I'm sure, serve Baptist medication and it didn't work. Basically, you could be sued for practicing medicine without a license under that law. All of you who went helped me, send them, fax them. We drilled them with faxes, and they took that law out, that part of that law out. So anybody can still advise about nutrition and tell the qualities of food without being in danger of practicing medicine without a license and spending a year in jail for it. There's another law that I'm going after next. The FDA put a law that any kind of fruit juice, vegetable juice will have to be flash pasteurized in the next year. That means you will never ever again be allowed to buy fresh juice unless it's pasteurized in a market, unless you go to their juice bar. That's not a nice thing. The FDA has no business telling the company to do that in a particular state unless the state's transporting it to other states. Unless that company is transporting it out of state, but we know the FDA tries to get it there, noses everywhere. It's not constitutional, it's not legal, but that is what I'm working on next. Anybody want to send donations, it's very helpful because I have to work with attorneys and a lot of other people to make this work. So you can always send, in the back of the book on page 310, just make out a check to Right to Choose Healthy Food and send it to the post office box there in the back of the book. Leave out the 47. The post office seems to have trouble in reading. I don't know how educated they are, but it's 176-47. It's 47 when you have a dash after the number. 47 means department. They forgot that it means department, so they think 17647 is the whole post office number, and there's no such post office number. So they're sending letters back and payments back to me written by that all the time, and I'll take it to them and say, what is wrong with you? Why is this continuing to happen? Gee, I don't know. Maybe people don't understand. Maybe we've got a new employee, so just cut the 47 off. I will go through and say, yes, this belongs to that account, and that belongs to that account. So just leave off of anything else other than the 176 in the post office box. Okay? Yeah. You're saying you get tired of going to Erewhon to get your juice made, or you get tired of making your juice so you go to Erewhon and buy something pre-made. Erewhon doesn't, but you can go to other stores who will. Wild Oats, yeah. It's never preferable, if you're going to have something organic, some juice inorganic, then I would suggest having at least a tablespoon of butter or a tablespoon of cream with it, so it'll bind with any of the chemicals that may be in it. Yes, that's the only thing you can have with vegetable juice. You mix vegetable juice with any other animal product, and they won't adjust together because one's acid, one's alkaline, they neutralize each other. Fats like coconut cream, butter, or cream can be mixed with it because they're neutral. They go right to the stomach. They don't depend upon digestive acids in the stomach. That's up to you, All right, thank you, everyone. And wait a minute, one more thing. We need volunteers to do the mailing list. Again, what that means is that somebody will make up a flyer, then I will print it up and then send it to the person. They get 200 to 250 copies. They fold them 3 ways, put the labels that I will send it to them with the names and addresses on it, and put a stamp on it and put it in the mail. Another way, if somebody doesn't do that, then we don't have potlucks. Pardon? Buttercream and all that. Wait a minute, let me get that first. Bruce, are you volunteering again? Okay. Cindy, you'll do it this time? All right. Bruce has done it the last 3 times? us a hand. And let's give our wonderful hosts. I know Randy's in there, and Cindy. Thank you very much. Great place. Okay, and then we need a place to, the two places that we will be in the next time. It's either in Marina Del Rey or at my place. The next two will be at one of those two places. Either my place in Malibu or in Marina Del Rey at Vanessa Haas. So I'm going away July 16th to Hawaii, so July 15th I would have to have it, so that's not a full 2 months away. So I don't know if you want to wait until I return, or you just want to have a potluck without me. So, okay, so we can have one on the 15th before I go, and then when I come back we'll have another, yeah. Well, it'll be September. Okay, and now, James would like to make an announcement about dairy. Okay, he's got some dairy. He's got cream, butter, what else? Cheese, honey, all kinds of milk, yeah, mustard, high meat maybe, all kinds of stuff out there in the car.